As preparations for the 2027 general elections gather momentum, the Anambra State Signage and Advertisement Agency, Ansaa, has unveiled guidelines and permit fees for outdoor political campaigns across the state. The agency says all political parties, candidates and support groups must obtain campaign permits before deploying posters, banners, branded vehicles and other promotional materials. Under the approved fee structure, presidential candidates will pay 50 million naira, senatorial candidates 20 million naira, House of Representative candidates 5 million naira, while State Assembly candidates will pay 1.5 million naira.
Does this always occur, particularly against opposition parties, and each of them eventually present or tender the evidence of payment? And how sure are we that we are not going to see such thing?
There are a lot of signs, people, some will see that pictures like this, and over the years, the Ansaa has not been good key or interested effects are not vying for posts. Individuals are vying for posts, right? That's why we are charging the individuals, not the parties. We are not charging the parties because the parties, for example, I'm using the Africa for example. You will not see vote Africa. You see, if I'm a candidate from Africa, you see votes for me. That's why we are charging that person who is publicizing himself, vying for a particular post to be voted for. In as much as the party is sponsoring them, like you alleged, the party is sponsoring them. We are charging that particular person, not the party.
We are not a political party, right? Individuals are the ones who secure the tickets to run on the party platform. We deal on individual basis, and per time, per party, one candidate. So that is why we deal with the candidates and not the parties.
Waiting for all the political parties to engage themselves on their primaries so that we can know the candidates that are vying for positions. I don't think I'm getting it. Because however, you can go and bet something on the platform of XYZ, and after the primaries, and then you might not be given the ticket to contest for that the same position under the same platform. So we are only doing this thing so that because we have known the people who are really campaigning, who are really vying for posts to be voted for. So that is why we are now doing this press to enable us to engage them particularly. If they are going through a process of advertising, go through a practitioner. Okay? So in as much as if they want the primaries and they will return their billboard, they will pay for this campaign fees. They will pay for this permits. So if they are disqualified through the primaries, definitely they will take off their materials.
Board marking and signage, billboard marking and signage marking. There are reasons why those boards are marked. One of the reasons is what we are here for. Payment of permit. If you make a payment for your permit, nobody marked your board. We mark boards that do not comply with the rules and guidance of the agency. Once you make a payment, nobody marked your board. Then secondly, these billboards, we should remember that billboards are owned by advertising practitioners, not Ansaa. We don't own boards. If you pay a practitioner and fly a campaign, fly a program on the board, the advertising practitioner is answerable to us. If the payment is not made, we'll go to him, we'll call his attention for payment. If he did not comply, then the board will be enforced. You that brought the job to him is answerable to him. You ask him if anything should happen to the campaign. You go to him and not answer. Then this coming to this election now, those boards are owned by the practitioners. Any campaign flyer, you pay the practitioner and not Ansaa. What you are paying for is stated in the document here. Billboard is not part of it. Billboard is owned by advertising practitioners. When you use their boards, you make payment to them. They are to pay Ansaa and not you as a client or as a political party.
All right. The road developers also, they mark. Fiscal planning, they mark. So it is not all that is from us. The one that you can say it's us is the one you see a remove poster placed, a sticker rather, placed on the board. Then it will be clearly written that it is placed by us for contravening one or two situations, conditions. Okay. So the duration you talked about, and you talked about 50 million if it covers all local governments for the presidential. Yes, it does. The presidential election is as big as a gubernatorial election. So yes, it's statewide, and yes, it covers for all the local governments for the candidates of the party to expose their materials. And it may interest you to know also that you cannot separate the candidates from the political party. The political party and the candidates are one. That is why they all there to make sure that they emerge on those platforms. So I don't think we may be able to successfully divorce the political party from the individual or vice versa. 10 days after the election, it is all exposures are supposed to be down by the law. That is what is entailed in the exposure of out-of-home campaign material. So,
Ansaa also warned against unauthorized billboards, indiscriminate poster pasting, and the destruction of opponents' campaign materials, stressing that enforcement teams will monitor compliance throughout the campaign period. I am Ogwacha Chukwuebuka.